Hello, thanks for joining us today. My name is Sandra Wick. I'm the Crop Production Agent with the Post Rock Extension District of K-State Research and Extension. Today I have with me a guest, Dr. Vipan Kumar. He is the weed scientist with K-State Research and Extension at the Hayes Experiment Center. So, Vipan, I know you do lots of research with different weeds and different weed problems out here. So can you maybe tell me the most troublesome weed out here in north central Kansas, western Kansas, and a little bit about that weed?
Sure, Sandra, I think that's pretty good question. In the western and central part of Kansas, the number one problem weed now is the Palmer Amaranth. It used to be more of kochia as a problem, but now I think Palmer has taken that rank, number one problem in the Kansas cropping system. So you can see Palmer growing in every kind of crops we grow in western and central Kansas.
Okay.
So this is one of the major challenge for Kansas system.
Okay.
Kansas cropping system.
So along that same line, the reason why it's becoming such a problem is because we have some resistance issues out there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what has caused this resistance to herbicides?
Sure. Very good question again. I think a lot of folks, they need to understand why we are seeing this herbicide resistance in weed species, especially Palmer Amaranth or kochia, because we have been relying on herbicides a lot. This is the most convenient way of managing weeds in crops. But what happens is when we rely over and over repeatedly on same mode of action, so we start seeing weeds, they evolve resistance to that herbicide mode of action. And that's exactly what's happening here with the case of Palmer Amaranth. So more reliance on herbicide with the same mode of actions and repeated use of those chemistries is the reason we have been seeing herbicide resistant Palmer Amaranth, kochia, or other weed species.
Okay, so it's very critical then that producers use multiple modes of action to maybe help lessen the chance of resistance building up on this weed, continuing on this weed plus other weeds as well.
The problem we have been seeing is not only resistance to one mode of actions in Palmer Amaranth. We have been seeing Palmer Amaranth develop resistance to multiple mode of actions. Things like glyphosate, we have been using glyphosate as our standard burn down programs in different situations. But along those lines, growers have been using things like callisto, mesotrione, or atrazine. And one of the recent survey tells us that there has been more and more resistance or multiple resistance to those chemistries as well, along with the Roundup or glyphosate. So there are cases of Palmer Amaranth developing multiple resistance to those mode of actions. I think with all those scenarios, the best option or recommendations we can give to growers is always use tank mixtures with multiple mode of actions and use alternate chemistries. If they are using glyphosate 1 year and they have a problem, they need to change that. Don't just rely on glyphosate. Do something with glyphosate, or tank mix with something with the glyphosate, either dicamba 2,4-D or Liberty, or you can also use Sharpen as a burn down material. So there are options. Just need to kind of rotate those options so that you don't see the problem again and again.
Okay, so as I mentioned, you're stationed out at Hayes at the experiment field there. Can you maybe highlight very briefly one of your studies that you've done in regards to the Palmer Amaranth?
Sure. Actually, my program is pretty much focused right now is on Palmer Amaranth, mainly looking at the option or strategies to manage herbicide-resistant Palmer Amaranth. One of the aspects we have been looking at is the distribution of herbicide-resistant Palmer Amaranth throughout the state of Kansas. The idea is to kind of pinpoint and see the frequency and distribution among those population that has developed resistance to commonly used herbicides, things like glyphosate, or atrazine or mesotrione or even auxin herbicides, because we have a recent report with palmer amaranth developing resistance to 2,4-D and dicamba.
Right.
So that's the one aspect. And other aspects we have been looking into how we can manage those resistant population in different cropping system we have in the western and central part of the state. So a lot of field trials, field testing we have been doing, looking at alternate herbicide chemistries, integrated weed approach like cover crops,
Okay.
as well as we have started some studies looking at some strategic tillage we can bring into our system, along with herbicides, along with cover crops, that can help us kind of take as an integrated approach managing these multiple resistant weed population. So that's some of the studies we have initiated and pretty actively doing in Hayes as well as in other parts of western Kansas on growers' field.
Okay, great. So if they want more of a complete report of that, they can just contact our office in the
Sure.
Post-Rock District, or they can contact you directly at the Hayes Experimentation to get a copy of that.
If folks have a question on palmer amaranth or kochia, or they want to know about what works and what doesn't work in terms of chemistries, please give me a call. My number is 785-625-3425, and you can go on the website, on Hayes KSU website, and can also email me those questions.
Okay.
Also.
Okay, great. All right, I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and our guest, Dr. Vipan Kumar, the weed scientist at the Hayes Experiment Station with K-State Research and Extension. This has been Sandra Wick, the crop production agent with the Post-Rock Extension District. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.